welcome to a brand new episode of the
Geek Buddies! Hey! Yeah.
We're back at it with another show. Unfortunately, we are sans Michael Vogel, who is in Paris, but he certainly sent in a text to let us know that he wants us to read his thoughts about a certain subject that we're going to cover here on the show. We got so much to talk about from the world of entertainment over the last few days. Certainly the Transformers news, the James Bond news, the new Fantastic Four trailer, and we're going to get into our F1 and Ironheart reviews, probably about 15 minutes on reviews on those particular shows and movies. So we'll talk about all of that here on the channel. But first, let's introduce ourselves for those who may not know us or stumbling upon us for the first time. I am John Rocha, writer, producer, and host here on the Geek Buddies.
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm an animation writer and a television actor, and we are recording a little early. If you heard my voice just crack, it's because I've actually been up for like 2.5 hours. There's no reason. I didn't do my vocal warm-ups, hence I still sound like I just woke up.
Touch of sound. Hey! Yeah.
Oh!
Oh, the old lives of for me, the old lives of an actor. Shannon, of course, still doing it as hopefully getting that call from the pit and coming back for season 2. We shall see. We shall see exactly. But as I said, we got so much to get into. We only have an hour to cover it all, so let's jump into it. Shannon, this broke just a few hours ago. It is happening. I feel like Steve Carell in The Office. It's happening. It's happening. Michael Bay is returning to the Transformers franchise. This is according to Matt Belloni over at Puck News. He is developing a new Transformers movie that he wants to direct currently, and the film has Jordan Van Dina, who wrote The Binge, attached as a writer. The report notes that it was Bay who sought out a Transformers return instead of the studio, luring him back. And remember, he directed 5 of those films, brought them to the big screen in 2007, made $4.3 billion total over those 5 films. But of course, it was moved off it because the quality started to get a little bit on the nerves of the fans, and people weren't coming back in the numbers that they did. And by the end, Transformers Last Night only made $605 million. I know Thunderbolts would have killed for that number, but that is the situation we're looking at here. Michael Bay coming back, and this is not the only thing, Shannon. There's also a number of plans in place that Transformers 1 director Josh Cooley will do a direct-to-live action film, which we just saw the same director who did How to Train Your Dragon did a live-action version of his. There's also Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover movie still in the works, God help us all, and 2 mystery films that are in early stages of development. So, Shannon, your thoughts on all this coming up to us from Matt Belloni at Puck News?
So that first Transformers film that came out in 2007, like that for me is without a doubt, that's a good movie. Like,
Yes.
Is it silly? Does it fall into some of the Michael Bay like trappings? Yes, it does.
Yeah.
But by the end of that movie, for me, that is still a satisfying film to pop on. Is there ridiculous slow-mo when you don't need it? Yeah. Is it basically a 2-hour music video? Yeah. But it's fun. It's exciting. The Michael Bay Transformers movies, they just started to take us to, I wouldn't even say a slow decline. It wasn't a nosedive, but it went down. I mean, Revenge of the Fallen, that was famously made during the writer strike, which you basically have your scripts. They were shooting by union rules. You're not supposed to be changing anything. And based off of how that movie turned out, I think you probably had a second draft that needed a lot of work, and they decided to shoot it anyways. Right. Dark of the Moon, I don't even remember what the 4th one was called.
Let's bring them up on the screen here. These are the movies: Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon is the 3rd one, Age of Extinction, and Last Night. I think Dark of the Moon is the one with Leonard Nimoy, I think, right? Isn't that the one with him, or is that Age of Extinction?
Yeah, no, I think that is Dark. I think that is Dark of the Moon. But like Age of Extinction, that's when you bring in the Dinobots. Last night you bring in King Arthur, I think.
King Arthur, and Merlin.
So the movies, it's interesting because actually looking at this, like I know a lot of people like to say Michael Bay's coming back. That's a great thing. They tried doing Bumblebee. It didn't work. And it's like, well, you can only put so much of that on Bumblebee, because when you look at the drop off between Transformers 4 and Transformers 5, that's a big drop off.
Right.
And
$500
Just
million. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
that's huge. And
Yeah.
to kind of blame Bumblebee, like, well, we tried it. It's like, okay, but the drop off from last night to Bumblebee, it was about 200 million, which is not what you want,
Right.
but it's better than 500 million.
That's
And
true.
I don't think people were kind of factoring in sort of some waning interest in the franchise based off of what had come before it.
Mm.
They tried that Rise of the Beast, which I don't think turned out great. I
No.
barely remember it. And Transformers 1, that was a completely different swing. So
Yeah.
on paper, does it make sense to bring back Michael Bay? Yes. But I think when you look at the creative direction of the franchise,
Yeah.
and this was a franchise that he was very much steering, like it is the law of diminishing returns. Granted, those diminishing returns are still in the $500 million arena.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty big. Yeah.
It's huge. So I mean, you're still making a lot of money, but it's when, unless there is sort of I'll be curious to see what this new movie is. Is this
Right.
is this a reboot? Is he continuing anything? Because ultimately, when you think of like the human characters, like you remember Shia LaBeouf, Sam Witwicky.
Yeah.
I don't remember Mark Wahlberg's name from those movies. I don't remember Megan
I don't think
Fox's
he
name.
does.
I remember Sam Witwicky. So
Right.
if I think maybe being in director jail for Michael Bay, if that has sort of adjusted his purview,
Yeah.
you can't argue him as a visual storyteller. Like
Right.
the action is dynamic, it's eye-popping. Whether or not that kind of, being on the bench for a little while, has that sort of adjusted his narrative strengths? We'll see. This could be great. Maybe this is the second coming of Michael Bay. But honestly, I mean, I kind of wish they'd stayed on that Bumblebee route, because I think there was probably more gold in those hills. But at this point, it doesn't matter. Sounds like he's coming back.
Yeah, I think they both need each. And you guys know I'm a massive fan, so I was very excited about this because after Bumblebee, and I hear you can't put all the blame on Bumblebee, but it's clear that they had a path and didn't want to stick to it. Like if they had kept with Bumblebee, they could have kept and made another film with all the Transformers, and if you had kept it in that style of Bumblebee, maybe that would have made $800-900 million, maybe even $1 billion. If you brought back, was it Travis Knight to direct it and maybe had his visions for the future of Transformers, there's a possibility. But then you pivot to Transformers 1, which is a good animated film. Unfortunately, wasn't marketed that well and didn't do well financially. And then Rise of the Beasts was not that good. So these are the situations that you find. So they've been kind of all over the place, right? So bringing back Michael Bay, and both of them need each other, I think, right now. And it's the right move. Like Michael Bay needs hits. Ambulance and 6 Underground. No one was, I mean, he's been on a cold streak. And the last thing Michael Bay likes to be on is a cold streak. And so he needs a hit. He needs a big franchise to sink his ideas into. And as you said, maybe being in not director jail, but certainly big movie director jail, he's had some time to rethink things and adjust an approach. And maybe he's heard the fans and will make some changes here that will cater to the fans, but also still cater to the people who enjoy his type of stuff. Now, the thing you can't escape, and I'm going to put this out there, people might get upset about it, is this is Paramount, right? And Paramount is going through a merger situation. And the thing is, I think they sense that these Transformers films have a certain kind of energy to them. There's hot women, there's fast cars, there's cool Transformer things going on. It's global, but it's very much, and military is involved very strongly. So it's like
Energon. Right?
There's this like American approach to Transformers. So I have a feeling that they're taking the temperature of the country and they're going like, well, maybe we can open the door back up again to this approach to Transformers and see what happens. So I don't think it's necessarily going to 100% work. I hope it does, because I love Michael Bay when he does these movies, but I think this is the right move right now for where both of them are at. Paramount's in disarray over the franchise, and Michael Bay needs hits. So hopefully that'll bring the necessity of both of them to need each other will create a good film overall. But we'd be remiss not to hear from our third geek buddy, who unfortunately can't be with us because he's traveling in Europe. Must be nice. But here is his text. Direct Vogel quote for today's episode. While I am thoroughly enjoying Paris, I am sad to not be on today's episode to counter Rocha's excitement about this horrible announcement. Oh, God. I get why they want to do it, and there's some executive logic to the choice, but I still think it's a sad day for Transformers fans. Yeah, Roke. I know you think they are fun, but dumb, and say they are your Fast and the Furious. But girl, oh my God, girl, they could be so much better than they are. Now, please go watch my Adventures with Superman or K-pop Demon Hunters or Superman Lois, and stop talking about this, Geek Buddies. Hey, well, we're not going to stop talking about it, but Michael, your points are duly noted and logged into the record for the Geek Buddies. So, Shannon, what are your thoughts on Michael's points here? Anything to say on anything? If he thinks it's a sad day for Transformers fans, is that true?
Well, I mean, Vogel has a unique insight, having been at Hasbro during as Transformers was coming up. When
That's right. Yes,
he was one of the executives on Transformers Prime, which,
yeah,
as far as I remember, that was a big hit with a lot of
yeah.
the fans. I mean, incredible score. So, is he off base? No, because I think growing up as a kid of the '80s, I think he sees what could be there,
Right.
but he doesn't have any faith in the project getting there under the stewardship of Michael Bay. But
Yeah,
again, maybe Michael Bay being on the bench for a little bit,
yeah,
maybe this has adjusted his point of view. Again, I doubt it. I mean, anytime you see an interview with that guy, he is very certain
yeah,
and
yeah.
very confident in his actions. So I doubt we're going to see a change. But again, this is a different writer that he's going
Yeah.
to be working with. Like this, it
Yeah.
started with Kurtzman and Orsi and a host of uncredited writers.
Right.
Maybe this new writer is going to be able to bring something that wasn't brought the first time. Again, I think the most curious thing is, what is it going to be? Is this a full-on
Yes.
reboot, or are we trying to
Oh,
continue anything?
yeah, good point. Continue the universe. That's an excellent point. And look, if I was Michael Bay, I know he's got another project in the pipeline with this particular actress. It's an adaptation of Outrun, the video game, doing it as a movie. But if I was Michael Bay, I would turn to Sydney Sweeney right now and be like, will you be the lead of this new Transformers movie? Because you put a hot blonde woman that a lot of dudes find attractive and a lot of people enjoy her acting to be the lead of your next big Transformers film. That's how you get goodwill with the current young audience, and you you appeal to the people who enjoy your Michael Bay movies for the sleekness and the sexiness and the big explosions type of stuff approach that he has overall. So for me right now, if I'm Michael Bay, the second Paramount says okay, I'm calling Sydney Sweeney to be the lead in my movie. You can sell that like hotcakes, I think, in my opinion. Am I wrong on this, Shan?
Uh, I don't know if I find Sydney Sweeney and Transformers to be the pairing that we've been waiting for. I, I feel like the writer and Michael Bay, they
Yeah.
are probably in a very low percentage winning position,
Oh, yes.
because no matter who you have the lead,
Yeah.
there is going to be, unless you get one of those unicorns who you just capture them at the right moment. Like if Pedro Pascal had been announced the lead
Oh, yeah.
8 years ago,
Right.
maybe it would have been like, oh yes, fantastic. Like this is someone, this is a person of color. This
Right.
is someone who has never stated
Yes.
whether or not they're gay, but it all signs point to yes.
Yeah.
But all the people on the straight side like him too. Like
Gotcha.
trying to find someone that's going to please everyone, I think is probably it's a no-win. It's a no-win scenario. I know a lot of folks will probably, if you put Sydney Sweeney up in the lead, or a Sydney Sweeney type, it's like, oh, you're going for the Sports Illustrated Maxim crowd. You're trying to entice young men to go see your Transformers because you put a very attractive female. And I think there will automatically be pushback. I also think you cast another white guy, there's going to be automatic pushback. I mean,
possibly. I don't know. With the approach nowadays, it seems very clear that they're moving away from diversity. So I don't know if that would necessarily be as strong of a pushback as it would have been a few years ago. But I take your point. I wonder if Austin Butler is the choice if you're going to go with a white guy, or God forbid, Tom Cruise, Transformers, Michael Bay. Good. I just orgasmed right now inside my body. Just the idea of all three of those things coming together would be amazing. And by the way, a little pushback on Michael Vogel. Jordan Danvina is writing these, and Jordan Danvina has been a staff writer on Animaniacs for the last 3 years, writing 20 episodes. So you can't be mad that an animation writer is taking over to write a Transformers film, and maybe they've got the secret sauce to work with Michael Bay and put some humor back into this. We shall see.
Because Michael Bay is so known for bending the knee to the writer.
That's true. We've heard the stories off record or off camera. We've heard the stories. Let's move on to another big news item here, Shannon. This happened as well. Denis Villeneuve has been confirmed for James Bond. He will be directing James Bond. This broke yesterday. Also, some new details emerged from Deadline. From Puck News. Matt Maloney over there, Puck News. Reported details. Denis Villeneuve won't have final cut. He is signed on for one project. Could change if it's successful. The studio is searching for a writer, probably a co-writer, because I imagine Denis is going to write some of it too. And James Bond will be cast after the script is finished. So, Shannon, they moved really quick on this one. As soon as they got out Broccoli and Wilson, they don't mean fully out, but took control of the franchise. They're still a part of the franchise. They locked down 2 executive producers, and Amy Pascal and David Heyman, and boom, we've got ourselves a director in Denis Villeneuve. So what are your thoughts on him being named, coming out of Dune to go right into this? And what do you think about the restrictions or limitations there that or expectations rather that they have for this James Bond?
I think aside from Christopher Nolan, Denis is probably about the most exciting choice they could have gotten.
Yeah.
But when you look at the restrictions that were put out, the fact that Denis not going to have final cut, I doubt that's something Nolan would have agreed to. It's like I think Nolan would probably take out his Oscar and the box office receipts for the rest of his film. Be like, really? You sure you don't want? You sure you don't trust me? It's interesting because, I love Denis.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever been as good as he was in Sicario.
Wow. Okay.
Again, Dune, I know how much Dune resonated with fans and how many people really respond to it. I wasn't one of them. I definitely think part 2 was I enjoyed part 2 more than part 1. And I enjoyed it even a little more after the HBO Max series.
Right.
But it's going to be interesting. Denis Villeneuve is living his best creator life, and the fact that he got to come in and do the sequel to Blade Runner. Now, did people did it succeed? Not really.
Right.
On the heels of it not succeeding, he was immediately then able to go and make Dune into a two-part franchise, and now there's going to be a third. And now he gets James Bond. I mean, Denis Villeneuve is sort of like the thinking individual's action director.
Yeah, I would say that.
There has to be an element of popcorn to James Bond. That is sort of in the DNA. But I think he brings sort of an elevated sense that some of the Daniel Craig films, not all of them, but some of them touched on that sort of elevated style of storytelling, especially with the last one. Because we saw Bond in a position that we've never seen him before, in this multi-decade franchise. So Villeneuve is, again, possibly the second most exciting choice you could have gotten. I would love to see him bring the Sicario sensibility to Bond, but I feel like that's probably gone. That he's got a pretty big checkbook now, and he doesn't have to. I don't want to say be as creative. He's not restricted by budget, and they are probably going to give him everything he needs to make the most entertaining Bond film possible.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fascinating to see what he does with it, because I agree with you. When I heard the news, I was excited because he's a great director. But then I thought to myself, well, is his taste, his sensibilities correct for Bond? But you have to factor in, he's been talking about directing Bond since Sicario. You mentioned Sicario. In the junkets since Sicario, he has gone out of his way to mention almost in every one of the junkets he's done for all the subsequent movies how much he admires James Bond, loves James Bond in the franchise, wants to direct a James Bond movie. So in a way, he kind of visualized this or spoke it into action, spoke it into existence. And now the time has come. And from what I understand, from what Jeff said the other day on the hot mic, is that he wasn't necessarily their first choice. I mean, Cuarón looked like he was going to get it. And possibly, I imagine they went to Nolan first. And Nolan was like, no, I'm doing Odyssey. I got this other stuff going on. I can't do. If you guys can wait a few years, yes, but I can't right now. And then Cuarón, it looked like maybe there was just a fallout over money. So Denis is not a bad backup plan if he was the backup plan in the situation. And I agree with you. I'll be curious to see where he goes with this. I mean, but you got to say the last few films, there's a lot of darkness. There's a lot of really exploration into the PTSD, into loss, into all of these things, and moving on, and all of the things, the death of Bond. All these things are explored. So there are darker edges to the most recent Bond film. So Denis, maybe they think Denis can take this into Oscar category type level, which would shock the hell out of me. Other than the songs, I don't think many Bond films have been nominated for any of the big awards. So could this be Amazon MGM going, look, we spent billions on this project, a franchise. Now we want to bring in somebody who is going to take us to the prestige level with this franchise. So I'll be really curious to see who they land as a co-writer and then who they land as Bond, because I think that's also going to give us an idea of where they want to go with the style of James Bond that Denis wants to tell. Because you're right to point this out, Shannon. Like, Denis makes great movies. They don't always yield the best results at the box office, but they rarely get destroyed by the critics. So this is the thing that's interesting, and going from franchise to franchise to franchise is also an interesting decision, because you say he's a thinking man's action director, but he's gone from Blade Runner to Dune and now to Bond. And so this is an interesting decision for his career when, as you said, Sicario, Prisoners, a lot of people feel those are his best work, not the subsequent movies here. And Arrival as well. I mean, we forget about Arrival. Arrival is an incredible piece as well of sci-fi. So I'm going to be really interested to see what the end result's going to be.
My guess is that the first thing that they want is they want this movie to make a truckload of money, because they spent.
Oh, you want it to appeal? Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
They spent a pretty penny wrestling Control away, from Broccoli and Wilson. Like, I think I'd not taken into account the prestige idea that maybe this is an Academy Award nominated director. Could he get Bond to that stage? Maybe, but I think that would be very secondary to they want this to be a tremendous success, especially the first movie out of the gate, not having the Broccolis involved. They want it to be incredibly successful financially.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, that with Denis being tapped to direct, I think that opens a door for a bunch of direct actors now that people haven't even been talking about to possibly play James Bond. So we'll see. Probably in the next few months, we'll see when. As soon as you hear that a writer's been assigned, I think the acting thing is going to be right around the corner. Well,
do we see Josh Brolin popping up, not knowing that Denis is part of it?
He could play the Joe Don Baker role, the Jeffrey Wright role. I could totally see Josh Brolin playing that role. He'd be perfect for that. Oh my God. Yeah. I see Austin Butler as a possible Bond now in my mind, but we'll see.
All right, American Bond.
I know it would be controversial. They chose a French Canadian to direct it, when American Bond would be. Some people would be very, very upset about that. But I don't know if I don't know that it has to be British to appeal to anyone outside the UK. I really don't know that the global audiences are like, well, it isn't British, I'm not going to go see it. It's like, that's not.
They're going to call him Jim. It's going to be Jim Bond.
Jimmy Bond. JB. Oh God. God help us all. But let's move on to another big franchise, Shannon. We had a final trailer this week for the Fantastic Four. You see Reed Richards running there, and Ben Grimm with a beard. We got to see more of Reed's powers. This one was much more of a Reed-focused trailer. Shannon, we got more with Franklin Richards. We got to see Galactus. We got more with Silver Surfer, with Julia Garner there. So your thoughts on this trailer? Did you like it? Did it work for you? Was this the best one of the bunch, or okay?
No, it's the best one, because they keep showing us more. They're opening, they're cracking the door open wider to let us know what this movie is. Now, again, you can kind of extrapolate from the beginning. Like, Galactus shows up. We know that the Fantastic Four are going to be joining the rest of the MCU at some point, so we can kind of figure out the basic direction that we're going.
Yeah, that planet is die. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's sure what it seems like. The whole idea that they go into space, and again, maybe I'm misreading this, that they go into space to kind of try to track Galactus down. That Silver Surfer shows up, I'm guessing probably starts a clock, says, this is what's happening. Your world is gone in a year, or however long. And so they try to track him down to stop the plan. And once they see what they're up against, they see like, oh yeah, we can't do it. There's nothing we can do. I do think it's interesting that we are seeing more and more of Reed's stretching powers. And my guess, and I could be wrong, my guess is that we are going to get very basic stretching, because I think Marvel has kind of been like, look, stretching in live action, it's hard. It's really hard not to make it look silly. Like one of the most interesting things from the comics is like, yes, Reed can stretch into all sorts of shapes. Like, I think when the Skrulls had taken him prisoner, like they literally had him stretched out over this giant arena. Also the way that this is the smartest man on the planet. Now he can stretch his brain to make himself potentially, access certain corners that he wasn't able to access before. So I feel like that might get touched on, but my guess is that the stretching that we're going to see, the extent is basically what we've seen. We're going to see him stretch his legs. We're going to see him stretch his arms. We're going to see him stretch his torso. That's going to be it. Because it's one of those things that in the comics, we don't mind it at all. And in animation, it makes sense. To our naked eyes, stretching limbs it looks weird. Like, and it doesn't look awesome. And again, maybe they're going to prove us wrong. Maybe they got all those bullets in the chamber that they're saving for the movie. No, I thought the trailer was really, really good. I was not expecting to see Ben Grimm with a rocky beard, but the comics have established that before, that he's had rocky facial hair in the past. I mean, I like that we get a little bit of the sibling antagonistic relationship between Johnny and Ben, like the whole it's clobbering time. Like, you see just how popular the Fantastic Four are. Like, we saw the little girl with her Thing doll in one of the trailers and how the kids have Thing masks. Now he's saying, like, there's a cartoon out there. Like, how much they are injected into this society. The whole idea that it's clobbering time, he doesn't say that. Like, that's something you hear on children's programming. So knowing that is going to be introduced, I thought the trailer looked great. Super, super excited. I hope it's good.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was the best one of the trailers they've released. It brought back that old school Marvel feel, like Infinity War, Endgame, like some of the best of the Captain America. It gave me that energy as I was watching the trailer, because it clearly feels like there's some real stakes here, and that Reed is at 6s and 7s about what's happening and trying to figure out how to get out of this situation, how to save his planet, save the people that have looked towards him. You start at the beginning with, I don't know if we're in trouble. And at the end, he's like, we're going to get it done. We're going to get the job done. I like that energy to it. Really like the Silver Surfer stuff. Her coming out of the clouds, that was imposing as hell, and her passing judgment and heralding Galactus. And then the shot of Galactus from behind as he's just like, it looks really unsettling. So to see them coming together to fight this thing off, I imagine we're heading towards a tragedy where everything they try to do is still not enough, and Galactus destroys the planet. And if it's Reed's doing that brings Galactus without him knowing it to the planet, that's a hell of a weight to put on your guy as he moves into Doomsday and Secret Wars with that guilt upon him. And usually that makes for the great superhero stories, are the guilt, and how much of Sue is going to be part of this and how much of Franklin's going to be part of this. So there's a lot of questions here that I think is going to be, it feels like they've really nailed this just from that last trailer. And so I'm very excited to see what we're going to get. It may still be a not a great film or a mixed film, but I feel much more positive after that trailer than I did beforehand. So
the production design is amazing. And those shots of the Fantastic Car, like watching the acceleration that it does, like I think on the left there's someone in a motorcycle that has some sort of glass like bubble like dome over him, and then that shot of the Fantastic Car catching up with Galactus. I mean, visually it looks stunning. We also don't know, is Galactus the reason this universe goes away? Like,
that's true. It may seem like it could be a red herring. That's absolutely true, Shannon. Yeah. Could be something completely different.
between, July is going to be an exciting
Yeah.
month of movies.
Yeah.
And I know we are all anxiously awaiting to see how they turn out.
Yeah, I already have my Jurassic World screening next Monday or Tuesday, and then Superman is on the 7th. So we will see when the Fantastic Four screening is, but here we go, y'all. July is coming. July is coming. Well, let's stay in the world of Marvel, Shannon. Let's get into our review for Ironheart, episodes 1 through 3. We're just going to review it for 10 to 15 minutes. Maybe there'll be some spoiler stuff going on, but of course, this is the Riri Williams story here. She is back as Ironheart. We see her connecting with her AI, which is her friend who was unfortunately unalived in a flashback sequence there. And she deals with the Hood here, played by Anthony Ramos, and befriends Alden Ehrenreich, who is revealed to be the son of a very famous character in the Marvel Universe. A lot of Iron Man references. We've got a gang of thieves led by the Hood that checks all the United Colors of Benetton. And then at the end, we have a pretty controversial ending at the end of the 3rd episode to lead us as a cliffhanger into the next 3 episodes, which come out in a few days, which I've read in numerous reviews is better than the first 3 episodes. So, Shannon, your thoughts on this show? What worked for you? What didn't work for you? What stood out? And what do you think they could have worked on a little bit better?
So the first episode is challenging.
I agree.
I do think it drastically improves in 2 and 3. And again, I don't know where it's going, but based off of the results of 2 and 3, I'm like, this does not deserve the hate that it's getting.
The pre-hate, right? Exactly.
Yeah, like, well, even the post-hate. Like, I've seen many reviews saying like, oh, it's another clunker for Disney Plus, like another another bad show. And I don't agree. I mean, again, the first episode is challenging, and there are definitely issues that I have with the production as a whole. But in terms of I actually like the writing. I mean, the things that they've set up, the fact that Riri is working with this group of criminals because she wants to do a thing, like she has a goal in mind, and how she sees herself different from the rest of the criminals. And Anthony Ramos's Hood basically says, like, you are just like us. I think the Hood is a really captivating character. Is Anthony Ramos perfect? No. He falls in, I think a lot of the cast falls into they're okay territory. I would say Ramos's crew, the Hood's crew, with the exception of Manny Montana, I think there's better choices out there for all of them. But Manny, I don't know if it's Montana or Montana, but who plays Cousin John, that guy is outstanding. Like, I'd never seen him in anything before. My wife told me when I was watching it last night, she's like, oh, he's from Good Girls, the NBC show. That guy is outstanding. To the point that I'm like, man, it would have been interesting to see him have the red hood on. In my opinion. But overall, like, I'm enjoying it. I think that the action sequences that they have in episodes 2 and 3, those are good, fun set pieces. I mean, across the board, like, whenever you have a performer who has been good in something, has been consistently good in something, then their performance gets a little wonky. And I'm throwing Dominique Thorne into this as well, because I do like Dominique Thorne. A lot in that first episode, I'm like, this feels weird. And I'm like, she's played this character before. I automatically go to director. I'm like, I don't know if that's the reason, because I do feel like she finds her footing, especially when she gets paired up with Alden Ehrenreich. But that first episode is a challenge. But once you get past it, I think there is a lot of good in the show. I mean, are there things they could have done better on the casting side? In my opinion, absolutely. But I'm curious to see where it goes. And Vogel made the comment on one of the trailers about Ramos in the Hood, and looking at the way he's introduced, like, he's got the hood on, and this is not a spoiler because we've seen it in the trailers. I'm like, I don't know if I would have introduced him in the hood, because the hood, the way that garment has been designed, it's a little wonky. It's stiff. It doesn't look cool. And we've seen in cinema that a cloak can look cool.
Mhm.
This one just isn't. And
Yeah.
again, I think introducing the character in it, it makes it a little like, meh. it's it's a little shruggy. And I imagine the majority of this budget went to the suits,
Yeah.
went to Riri's suit. It would have been great to see some cloak of levitation like effects with the
Yeah.
hood as well, because this is a supernatural garment. Like this is something from another world. So it would have been cool to see some of that flair. But right now, for me, Ironheart is squarely in the center of the Disney Plus shows. Like I was
Okay.
not a big fan of Moon Knight. I know some folks are.
Yeah.
I think across the board, most of us were not fans of Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
This is far better than both of those. I would also far better than She-Hulk. Like to me, this is
Hmm.
hovering around Miss Marvel territory.
Wow. Okay.
Um, so I don't think you agree, but
No, I had a really hard time with these first 3 episodes. Somebody described it on my reaction, which is up on the channel now. Someone said this is like a 90s UPN show, and I 100% agree. It felt that way to me. It's a little teenage, young adulty, teenagery for me, even though these are supposed to be people in the college age. It didn't 100% nail it. I think Dominique Thorne is great. I think she's damn good. I think Lyric Ross is really good. Bring her up as her AI Natalie. I think they have great chemistry together. I love that angle. The flashbacks to what happened to her, I really enjoyed that. But the gang of thieves are so ridiculous, and they're attacking security guards that look like they work the night shift at the 7-Eleven instead of actually high-powered $1 million of equipment that they're protecting. These are ridiculous things. And people, so I've seen some reviews going, well, if you're nitpicking, that's not nitpicking. That's literally reviewing what you're supposed to do is look at the things that are undercutting what the overall story is here and stuff like that. And those fight sequences are terribly choreographed, in my opinion. That drives me insane. What carries the show for me is Dominique Thorne, the chemistry with Lyric Ross, and then eventually the chemistry with Alden Ehrenreich. Although I would honestly say the Alanis Morissette moment is the refrigerator moment from Crystal Skull for me. You're either in or you're out on this show based on that sequence. But I don't. But I think the show is half baked, and so I can't. I hesitate to blame the creator and the directors on this because it's clear that they only wanted 6 episodes for this. It seems like they've cut out some more of the background you need with all of these characters. For example, all of these people are supposed to be super intelligent who work for the hood, but no one's ever questioned the evilness of the hood. It takes Riri showing up to go like, guys, there might be something wrong here. That to me is where you strain the bounds of credibility and logic in your own show. But there is a heart at the center of this show that does work, and I enjoyed that. Rewatching the episodes, if you just focus on that, I think it works much better. I like the MCU references. I like the Tony Stark connections. The surprising reveal, I think, was really cool in the way that's done. I'm curious to see how that's going to play out in the next 3 episodes. Even that ending, I like the ending because I hope it's going to leading to what I think it's going to lead to, and Michael Vogel is going to be happy about that. But like to me, the problem with the show is Anthony Ramos. And I hate to say that because I'm a Latino. I'm always supporting Latinos working and getting stuff. But Anthony is so one note in this. And the way it's written, like it may not be that Anthony's performance is the problem. It may just be the way it's written, the hood. I agree with you. Seeing him in the hood, he looked ridiculous. It looked like something out of what was that Tom Cruise film with the sex stuff that he did with
Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut. It looked like something coming out of Eyes Wide Shut. And I was like, I'm supposed to be intimidated by this. It just didn't work. I agree with you on Manny Montana. He is damn good. And I agree. If he had the hood, this is a whole different show. I think Anthony is limited. We've seen him in Transformers, not that great. We've seen him in Twisters. I didn't think that was that great of a role. Loved him in The Heights, but where is that guy in this? And so I wonder if maybe, condensing the show has undercut a lot of the development of these characters and the development of these connections and the storylines. And there are so many characters that they're trying to make work right off the bat that to me, it becomes comical and one note and very surface level. And that's not what you want here. I love the mom, but I wanted more with her mom. Like, why aren't we developing that relationship more and the connections here and the trauma here? You introduce her community. Why aren't we spending more time with her community and the guys and the women in her community? It's a Black show. I want to see the Black community. I want to see her have not just swinging in and out, parachuting in and out. I wanted more with that. But hopefully in the next 3 episodes, it'll be better. I think for me, it's still down around Moon Knight. It's still a little messy for me, but maybe the next 3 episodes will redeem it and elevate it back up. But yeah, it's certainly better than Secret Invasion. It's just, but then again, the first 4 episodes of Secret Invasion are not bad. Those are good episodes for the most part. So where she's at right now is about halfway through Secret Invasion. So I would say they're correlative for right now, but maybe the next 3 episodes elevate it overall. Shannon, your thoughts on that? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think when you look at the fact that the show finished shooting at the end of 2022. Now, some people are like, "Oh, it's terrible. They put it on the shelf." That could be correct, that
Maybe.
they weren't
Yeah.
happy with how things went. Like, I don't know if they did reshoots on it, but there was
Right.
also a deliberate slowing down of output.
Yes,
And when you
100%.
have a bunch of things already done,
Yeah.
that means the release date gets delayed. So
Yeah.
based off of that information, again, looking at what other folks what I had seen, I was prepared for something. I was prepared for something much less satisfying than what we got.
Yeah.
And you don't I guess that's probably the best way to go into something, is having your expectations set at a realistic level. Because
Yeah.
the bar had been lowered, I'm like, hey, I don't think this is bad. I mean, again, there are
Yeah.
things I would have changed. Did Ramos need better material? I don't know. I mean, because
Yeah.
that scene that he has with Riri at the beginning of episode 3, I'm like, this is a good scene. Like, this is interesting. It's very much that temptation conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and to the Alden Ehrenreich, like, I am professionally jealous of him doing this role, because as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh no, you're a tall, good-looking dude. You can't play low status like this. And I stand by that to a degree. But to me, it's also like him playing Han Solo. I'm like, I think you're a good actor. I've seen you be good in things. You're good in this. I just think there was probably a better choice out there.
Maybe. That's a good
But the
point.
more
Maybe,
that we
yeah.
see of him and Riri, I'm like, this is a fun dynamic that these
Yeah.
two have. But yes, the Alanis Morissette.
Oh,
If you're out on that, you're probably out on the show.
yeah, I think so. But yeah, but I mean, also the hood, like I said, the characters that work under the hood, there's some good actors in there. I've seen them in better projects, and of course, the drag queen, Lindley saw them as I was watching the show, and she was like, "Oh my god, she's in this!" But then they really don't do much with that, right? And the slug, I think, is the
Slug.
AI person or whatever. Like, just a couple of clicks and she's in. Like, it's just that kind of thing that you're like, come on, can we not do something that doesn't seem so cliche and surface level? We need more with these characters. We need more time. And the way they just swagger into places, like, come on, what are we doing here? Are we doing reality or are we doing childish bullshit? It just got frustrating for me at times to see all the, hey, we're wearing all the cool clothes and we're doing what the things the cool kids do. And it's like, no, man, this is real shit. But I do think the commentary with AI, I don't want to skip over that, Chin. I think that's phenomenal in the show rather. The conversations they're having about AI and how it can intrude into her life when she's doing something on the mission, whatever, like she's figuring out, and the fact that it evokes her trauma and her PTSD from the loss of her friend, like those are interesting things to explore. So maybe this is a shaky footing, kind of like Riri in the suit the first time, and then the next 3 episodes are going to be her really kind of getting used to the suit and doing some cool stuff. I'm not a fan also that like she turns to crime within 2 minutes of being let go from the college without looking for a job or looking for another fellowship or reaching out to Wakanda. I'm sure Wakanda would have totally helped her because Wakanda knows about her from what we saw in Wakanda Forever. So to me, I think there could have been other options explored before she turns to a life of crime, you know?
Right.
So,
You need a more compelling reason for her
yes.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I
And
mean,
again,
that's
that's
the thing is,
underbaked. The shows, yeah. Yeah.
but I mean, she was kind of already on that path. I mean, getting payment to do other people's work. I mean, you are on
Oh,
that
sure.
path.
It's a leap from robbing,
Sure.
from writing. Yeah.
Sure. I can't disagree with you there that you went from
Right,
step
right, right.
3 to step 12.
Yeah. But I take your point. If we had a more compelling reason, so like if they had a few more episodes to really flesh out this stuff, see her struggling with it, see her getting rejected or losing out on stuff or having stuff blow up in her face that she's trying to do, then it becomes a sense of desperation because she wants to do good. So it becomes like, can I do a little bit of bad to do good overall? And that asks us as a viewer, and asks the questions of us as a viewer. What would you do in this situation? And I think that could have been a little bit more compelling by the end. But I know a lot of
And
people
this
like
is the last example of that 6-episode Disney Plus format. I mean, because I think Wonder Man is supposed to be like 9 or 10, so it's more on the She-Hulk, WandaVision example. This is the last one of them being like, yep, that format didn't work. Let's pivot. Now we're getting the Daredevils and I can't remember what else is coming next, but the longer season counts.
Right. Vision Quest. Right. That one's going to be longer. So yeah. All right. Well, that's our review for Ironheart. Of course, we'll have a spoiler review for the final 3 episodes coming up next week, probably as a separate episode at some point next week. We will let you know about that. But we want to also review one more film here, and that is F1, that is out in theaters now. Shannon, this one follows Brad Pitt as an older racer who was a prodigy coming back to the world of racing thanks to his buddy here, Javier Bardem. They were former racers. He now owns a team. He's desperate. He needs a driver for his F1 Formula car. He has to go up against Damson Idris on his own team. And it's that it's the old guy teaching the young guy new tricks, but the young guy doesn't want to learn from the old guy. And there's a romance with Carrie Condon, who's the first female head of a F1 team. So I'll say this real quick, Shannon. I liked the film a lot. It isn't Top Gun Maverick. The relationships aren't as strong. The feelings aren't really 100% there. It is absolutely Brad Pitt's movie, but the racing sequences are incredible. And yes, a lot of cliche stuff the boxes are checked here that we've seen in numerous movies before, but I think it evoked some of the best of the 80s, 90s type of action movies like this, like Days of Thunder and even Rush, the Ron Howard one that I really enjoyed. So what'd you think of this film? Did you like it? Did it work for you? What are your thoughts here?
I mean, there is a liberal sprinkling of cheese throughout the movie.
Yes, agreed.
That being said, I really enjoyed it. Like, it is a lot of fun. I mean, Joseph Kosinski, like, that guy makes movies. I mean, from the very beginning, like the whole thought of like with Top Gun Maverick, he's putting us in the cockpit. With F1, we're in the driver's seat. And there was a moment, because I went and saw it with our friend Brian Leonard. He took me to a screening. There was a moment. As I was losing my sea legs, like I was finally starting to feel normal. And then you're in one of those POV shots where the car is shaking. I'm like, oh, no, they're back. They're back.
Just seeing the wheel vibrate as he's trying to move, it is so unsettling. Yeah.
It is a great big screen experience.
100%.
I think I was listening to your and Steve's episodes on Crimson Tide on the Cinephiles, and you all were talking about the star power of people like Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman. And Brad Pitt's performance in this is 100% star power. Like, is Brad Pitt a good actor? Yeah, of course. But the little moments that are so captivating from him, where I think it's Bardem's giving him a thumbs up as Brad Pitt has his helmet on, and Brad Pitt just kind of rolls his eyes. I'm like, he doesn't even have total use of his face. And him rolling his eyes was so entertaining. The press conference scene, which we see snippets of in the trailer, Brad Pitt's relation to the press, hilarious. He's not having to do a lot. It is very, very funny. He's a movie star. Like, there's that story about when I think it was the red carpet for Ocean's 11, where some interview was giving, or some reporter was interviewing George Clooney, and they were like, what's it like to be a huge movie star? He's like, I'm not a huge movie star. Wait for this. And like Brad Pitt gets out of a limo, and the crowd goes like, that's a movie star. And this movie encapsulates that sort of indefinable quality that Brad Pitt has. Really enjoyed Javier Bardem in this. I mean, Bardem is one of my favorite actors. I love his English as a second language delivery. The way his emphasis is just slightly turned. It makes him as a character you just can't take your eyes off him the whole time.
Right.
Kerry Condon, I agree. Friday from the Iron Man films
Yeah.
and from the Avengers films, from Rome. That's when I was first
Rome.
introduced to her.
Yeah.
Kerry
Yeah.
Condon, one of those performers that is like, I'm surprised it took this long for her to do a role like this.
Yeah. 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 Also,
So
Banshees of
good.
Inisherin. Also, Banshees of Inisherin. She's so good in these roles now. She's getting these chances later in life, and it's great to see what she is bringing to the forefront. I agree with you on Javier Bardem. When he plays the Halle Broy guys, it's so fascinating because when you see Beautiful and other films where he delivers these enormously complex and beautiful performances, that you see him just kind of being a regular Joe, that it becomes fun. And their chemistry is a lot of fun and they're ball busting, and you do sense a genuine connection with each other. What did you think of Damson Idris in the movie? I mean, a lot of people think he might be the next Black Panther. I will say one of the criticisms I have of the movie is that I really enjoyed him and his mom, who was in the third season of Ted Lasso. She is really fun as the psychiatrist. She's really funny in this, but his character is really strong at the beginning. I like the idea. Young Black man doesn't want to learn from the old man, white man, has his own points of views. He's not some desperate kid looking for validation from him. And he deals with the social media culture and the way he approaches it. But he kind of becomes a little bit marginalized in the back half of the movie. And I think that's one of the criticisms I had. I wanted him to be a much more present and back and forth with him and Brad Pitt's characters. I wanted more of that to progress throughout the whole movie. And I felt like it missed an opportunity there, storyline wise, for that. What did you think of his performance in the film?
I really liked him. I don't know if I have heard his name, especially as it relates to Black Panther. I've heard his name a lot. I think he's in like his mid-30s, but he has a very youthful energy. Like he really comes off as like that mid-20s, early 20s. And like I didn't find out how old he was until afterwards, because I think you and I were talking about the whole Black Panther possibility. And like, I don't see him as a multiversal T'Challa. I see him as the grown-up version of T'Challa's son.
Oh yeah.
That casting would make sense. If that's the direction they go, fantastic. But I really liked him, and I loved his relationship with his mom.
That was great.
Because I think she came. It was season 2 of Ted Lasso that she came in as the therapist, and the appreciation she has for the package that is Brad Pitt is so funny. And a lot of us who have moms, that you don't see that often when they appreciate the good looks of a man. You recognize that right away when you like that glint in her eye was familiar. But then later, when she and Brad Pitt kind of butt heads a little bit, I mean, that was such a captivating scene. And again, it was a lot of Brad Pitt reacting to, like, she is just overhand serving again and again and again. And the way that he was able to take these offers from an incredible performer but stay true to the character that he developed. I mean, there is a lot of good acting. Now, again, the cheese that comes in those driving sequences. Like some of the driving sequences are super exciting, but then when we're cutting over to the team where this person has this idea, this person has this idea, this minor character is getting their little moment, that can come off a little heavy-handed and a little inorganic. And I kind of relate that to like Top Gun Maverick, because I mean, it's Aaron Kruger also wrote the script. I mean, it's the same. Him and Kaczynski. When you look at Top Gun Maverick, like everything that's going on with Maverick and Rooster, that's all super compelling. I mean, I think once you get into that Hangman territory with Coyote and
Bob,
Joaquin Torres, Danny Ramirez. That all feels a little half-baked, and it's the same. It's the same with F1. I think maybe it's a little more complex in F1 because you have a variety of folks who are not in their mid-20s. Like you have kind of the Casper, the older, like I don't know what he's not the crew chief, but I mean, and then you throw in Tobias Menzies as well. I think you had a different sampling of people that made the supporting cast for this a little more interesting than like Top Gun Mavericks. But
Right.
at the same time, it's the same style that you
Yeah.
only have so much time to devote to these supporting characters. So you're trying to get in and get out with something as satisfying as possible. And
Yeah.
it doesn't always land.
Yeah, Kim Bodnia, I think, who plays Casper, I was so surprised to see him in the movie because he's the original guy who did the bridge, the original version of the bridge. Before you saw 7 different iterations of it from multiple countries, he's the original guy on the bridge. And so to me, I was really surprised to see him in the movie. I thought initially it was the guy from Killing Eve who plays her handler, but it's a different actor. So I was like, oh, damn. And I like his energy, like the crew, Shea Wiggum, like everybody that's in the crew. I enjoy it. The stuff with the blonde girl, okay, fine. I guess that makes sense. You were trying to make some kind of commentary on that, but really didn't pursue it. But I like the energy around the actors in the movie and the things that they're going through. Does some of it feel a little telegraphed, especially the villain in the I mean, I saw that coming like 2 hours before it happened, which is not the best. But I do enjoy just what Brad Pitt does here. I mean, this is Brad Pitt's movie. It's pitched as a two-hander, but this is Brad Pitt's movie, and there's a soulfulness to what he does that I really like, and it's an unusual protagonist, right? It's not someone who's like desperate for redemption. It's someone who is on a journey, and this is just a stage of his journey. And I love that in the movie. There isn't this kind of, wow, I've learned life. I'm going to reconnect with my daughter that I didn't recognize from years ago. I'm going to make it up with my wife again. Like there's something different here. And I think that's why it is in Top Gun Maverick. Like Top Gun Maverick was about essentially Maverick getting some redemption or some resolution for a lot of old issues, right? For him, there are old issues here, but he's still following his Northern Star and he's going to do what he does. And he's going to help who he can help along the way who want to be helped. And in the end, his heart's in the right place, but he's still a wanderer. He's a journeyman. And I kind of love that about it as an unusual protagonist for a film like this, yeah. And his performance.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really great way to put it. I mean, with Top Gun Maverick, we are bringing in a situation that happened in the mid 80s, the death
right.
of Goose.
Yes.
Like, how does that affect Tom Cruise's life? Like at the end of the first Top Gun, we see him throw the dog tags into the oceans. Like, all right, he's learned to let go. But then flash forward, 40 years, and we see, oh, Goose had a kid. And Maverick was a big part of that kid's life. And we're able to connect the thing that happened in Top Gun with what is currently going on, even though it's not the same situation. Like it is very much a choice that Maverick made on Rooster's future.
Right.
That Maverick didn't have a right to do. So I think that's why that conflict was so compelling. Whereas Sonny Hayes is a brand new character, even the way they set it up. I mean, the whole idea that this isn't some big reflective moment for him. This is step 5 of his 10-step life journey.
Yeah.
And again, Brad Pitt just brings so much to a role, which is interesting because his delivery sometimes can be a little stilted, a little awkward, like a little. It's like I feel like you're acting right now, but at the same time, I can't take my eyes off you. I mean, I feel like it started with Inglourious Bastards. Like everything about his character in Inglourious Bastards, I'm like, this is performance ratcheted up to a 12.
Yeah.
But then like you get him to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he still has that kind of weird Brad Pitt delivery, but you believe every second of it, and you can't take your eyes off it.
He's a Southern California actor. And it comes through in his performances always. Like it just has that energy to it, right? And so I kind of love that. And I just want to clarify for what I said just a few seconds ago. It doesn't mean there isn't an arc. There is an arc with Sonny Hayes, and there is some resolution of some stuff from the past at the end, but it isn't like you've seen in other films, which I kind of liked it. For all the cliche stuff it does and boxes it checks throughout the movie, the fact that the protagonist is a completely different kind of protagonist that we've seen before in these kinds of movies, I think makes the film unique in that way, which I thoroughly enjoy. And yes, I think this is going to do so well at the box office. People are going to love this movie and go see it over and over again. I'm probably going to try to see it this afternoon or this weekend again for a third time because I just enjoy. I mean, we need these kinds of movies, brother. So I'm so happy something like this is coming out amidst all the Jurassic World and Fantastic Four and Superman. There's something here too that people can thoroughly enjoy. So we'll see.
This is the grown-up blockbuster.
Yes, 100%. Yes, 100%. Great comment there, Shannon. All right, well, there you go. That's our episode of the Geek Buddies. Thank you all so much for joining us. Shannon, what do we have to tell these wonderful people?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow us on social media. On Twitter, it's at geek_buddies. On Instagram, at the_geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's at Shannon_McClung. On Instagram, at Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you'd like to follow Mr. Vogel and say bonjour, it is at NKToon. If you'd like to follow Mr. Rocha and say hello there, it is at The Rocha Says.
Or Ola. I can take Ola, so for sure. Of course, we are a podcast as well. If you want to listen to us, you don't want to watch our faces, please subscribe to the podcast. Thousands of you watch us every week, and we'd really appreciate you subscribing to the podcast as well. It helps us get our numbers up, helps us attract sponsors for the show. We'd love for you all to do that for us. And of course, leave your comments down below on everything we talked about, from Transformers Michael Bay to James Bond to the Fantastic Four trilogy, Ironheart. Your thoughts on that, and your thoughts on our thoughts on that. And F1, what's your thoughts on F1 when you get a chance to say? Let us know all of it down in the comments section below. Michael is back next week. The three of us will figure out a time to come back together. Hopefully, is it next week? Oh, I think it's another week. We don't have Vogel. Yeah, it's another week. So we'll try to rope in some guests, though. We'll see what's going on there, and then we'll be back with another brand new episode here of the
Geek Buddies. I'm awake.
Hey.